It's important to understand that the average React dev isn't an enthusiast. Funny enough, I'm one of those engineers. There's a quote I think a lot about that I was told at a young age. Imagine an average person, perfectly average intelligence, the most average Joe you can think of. Half of people are dumber than that person. This is why it's important to think a lot about averages. Average is not meant to measure the majority. It's meant to measure the middle. And sometimes the distance between the biggest extremes in the middle can be massive. That's why we're going to talk about the average React developer today. Before we go any further, I want to talk about you a little bit. Because you, the viewer of this video, statistically speaking, you're not the average React developer. If you're watching videos about React on a channel like mine in your free time, especially if you've watched my videos before, this video isn't about you. But that doesn't mean it's not useful to you, because we're talking about the people that you might not see or know about. I know a lot of us tend to surround ourselves with the most talented developers, and you might not think it, but our little tech Twitter bubble is pretty close to the top. These are the people who spend their free time watching videos about technologies, hanging out in the communities. Discord plug, by the way, link in the description. These are people who want to better themselves every day, and not just at work during their 9-to-5 shift. These are people who care a lot, and I know you're one of them. Either that or a friend of yours sent you this video, and either way, don't hold it against them. Regardless, the average viewer of this video is not who we're here to talk about. It's the average person being paid to write React code, because I don't think we understand them very well. I had a tweet a couple days ago about how the average React dev almost certainly has never knitted a React project before. And the immediate assumption was that I meant they haven't from scratch made all the files, made the package JSON, and installed React in a vanilla empty HTML file themselves. That's not what I meant. I meant the average React dev has never run create React app, create next app, or even create T3 app. It's important to understand that the average React dev isn't an enthusiast. They're not out here trying to better understand every detail of the framework. They're not Google searching tutorials and learning about the new features when they drop. They're certainly not watching many videos here. The average React developer is using React because they have to for their job. Because the code base they're working in was already using React and they're maintaining it. Because one of the enthusiasts at your 20-person team, at your however many people company, brought React in because it would solve problems that they understood, but the rest of the team just kind of was along for the ride. Funny enough, I'm one of those engineers. I didn't give a crap about React. I only started using it because we started rewriting the Twitch site with it. And for probably my first 2 to 3 years of actively working in React, I never initted a React project. I just contributed, I closed issues, I asked questions to the other devs around, I read the documentation, and I would Google search specific issues I had. But I never did a React tutorial. I never sat down and from scratch built something using these tools because I was an average React dev. I wasn't there to master this thing. I didn't even like it at the time. The average React dev doesn't even like React. Let that settle for a bit. It's a weird thing to say and think, but it is true. With other frameworks like Svelte or Astro or Solid, the average user of them loves them. This isn't just because those frameworks are great. It's because of who uses them and why they're using them. The average Svelte dev is contributing to a project they initialized themselves. The average React dev has never initialized a project. And that's a huge difference. And in order for these other frameworks to succeed, they're going to have to get to the point where the average dev doesn't like them either. A huge part of why React gets the pushback it gets is because it is that default. It's the thing that you reach for. It's the thing that your team's already using. It's the thing that you didn't pick. It's just there. And when we have conversations about React and the things that are changing in it, it's important to understand that not every change is for the enthusiasts to have a lot of fun things to talk about and deeply understand. The average React dev doesn't understand much of React at all. I know developers making well over $200,000 a year full-time working in React that didn't know there was a cleanup function that could be returned through a use effect. Like, these core behaviors of the framework are things that are often missed because they're not learning React. They're building with React. They're solving the tickets that come up on their board at their job, and they go home and hang out with their families at the end of the day. And that's it. They're not watching videos about this stuff in their free time. They're not playing with these new features and tools when they happen. They're waiting for someone else to do it and then following along with them at their job. They're looking for the bare minimum, not because they hate code or anything, because they just don't care as much. Their goal isn't to love the technology. Their goal is to close the tickets. And I think we need to understand the bubble that we're in. You and I, the people who are sitting out here chatting about this stuff for fun. I'm recording this video live on a Sunday with like 800 viewers across different platforms. All of y'all and all the people watching this after, we're in a bit of a bubble. We care enough to make this community and hang out in our free time. And again, join my Discord if you haven't yet. Lots of fun conversations there. But that isn't the normal average experience. And it's certainly not the lower half of that. Because the average React dev might know most of these things, but the below average React dev doesn't know any of them. And there's a lot of below average React devs making a hell of a lot of money. And React has to be considerate of all of these people when it makes changes. The goal is to make the average experience better, as well as the experience below the average, and hopefully the experience above the average as well. I think when you think about React in this mindset, when you realize that the average React dev did not pick React, a lot of the current state of the community and the conversation makes much more sense. People aren't mad because they picked React and got burnt. They're mad because they didn't pick React and they don't like it. And that's fine. But there is a reason it became the default. And there's a reason the average React dev is able to be so bad. Because the average dev is not great either. The tools that find the most success are the ones that work for the most people. And whether or not we all love it, React is liked well enough to make it here. So next time you're talking about these things, remember that the people that we talk with out here, we're the enthusiasts. And the best thing we can do is try to get our teams a little bit more excited during the few hours we have them working every day. Because they're not interested in learning all the ins and outs. And eventually, even if you do move to Svelte, it's just going to be the same thing there too. So be considerate of the average React dev when you have these conversations. Because if we're not, they're going to become invisible to us. And I'm really scared of a future where we don't think about the average developer using the tools we built. Keep building, keep working hard, and keep annoying your coworkers with all the cool things that you've been playing with, because it's how they get better too. Good seeing you guys as always. Thank you for the time. Peace, nerds. Oh, one more thing, actually. I'll pin a video in the corner here about setting goals. I pin this one a lot, but it is really good. And you can send this to the people on the team if they're not moving fast enough. It can help a lot.